Let's talk about Isaiah Pacheco being 100% good to go by week 1, Rashee Rice having himself a day at camp, look at a potential edge rusher the Chiefs could potentially trade for, and much freaking more. But first, how about those? All right, the second day of Chiefs training camp for QBs, rookies, and injured vets was today, and it was the same attendance as yesterday, meaning nobody missing and no new vets seen there just yet. And it looks like this practice is typically the last one from Patrick Mahomes until Sunday when the rest of the vets are scheduled to start working. So I would assume Mahomes will not be seen at tomorrow's practice unless he goes against the typical norm. To start things out, though, Rashee Rice was seen walking out this morning with the quarterbacks, and I think he's staying as close to them as possible to glean as much as he can. He said yesterday that he's been training with Shane Buechele almost every day prior to camp and is linking with him every evening to go over the playbook with the hope of understanding Patrick's tendencies through the eyes of Shane, who has himself been training alongside Mahomes for a couple of years. And speaking of Shane, he really did try to take the life from this wasp or bee or whatever it was trying to attack Patrick. I mean, he had his hands up like he was about to box an actual human being. However, as the bee continued to chase Mahomes around, I found out that the bee was actually summoned by none other than Isaiah Pacheco himself.
Hey, Bumblebee.
So yeah, Pacheco may be wise never to summon a bee ever again, but on a more serious note, Pacheco could be seen out there today in yellow, getting an upgraded yellow jersey with his name and number on it like a quarterback, which just says, "Do not hit this man, please and thank you." And the fact that he's out there for day 2 after doing drills and catching passes yesterday is a good sign for the apparent will-be RB1. On top of that, there's some footage of Pacheco taking handoffs from Mahomes, running some drills, and honestly, I cannot see any limitations from him at this point in time. It's not a big surprise though, considering what he's rehabbing and getting back to 100% is his shoulder, not his lower body, but still, he's looking nice out there. And Pacheco himself said he is feeling great in his recovery. He's just trusting himself and going through the process with the team and their trainers. He also shared that his hand or wrist, whatever the injury was there, it got banged up a bit in the AFC Championship game, but the staff helped him get right for the Super Bowl, played through that, then took care of the wrist or hand and the shoulder almost immediately after the Super Bowl on back-to-back weeks. The shoulder was definitely something he was dealing with for a longer duration than the hand, but was able to push through it, saying, quote, "It wasn't a big problem. Pop enjoys the work, the hot weather, and the grind of camp." And he said, "Ain't nothing better than to be here with the guys, pushing each other day in and day out to get better." And of course, the energy he exudes is contagious, which everybody enjoys as well. For year 2, he's looking to improve on the little details. He wants to run for 1,000 yards this season, but it starts right here, right now at camp and practicing the little things each and every day. And that's actually his advice to the rookies as well. Detail your notes and take everything day by day. And you know what? As long as Pacheco stays healthy, a 1,000-yard season is easily something he could accomplish. Just last year, he had 830 rushing yards in the regular season, and that was with him not being the starter for the first 7 or so games. And if you tally up his regular season and postseason stats, he rushed for 1,027 yards total and also had 195 receiving yards, which brings that total to 1,222 yards from scrimmage. So yeah, that is easily doable if he is able to avoid injury. Anyway, Pacheco said his favorite part of the offseason was the ring ceremony, linking with the teammates from the championship roster and getting to celebrate that with them. And while he doesn't know exactly when he's going to be a full go at practice, he was asked about it. He just said he's trusting the staff on the timing, but he did say he will absolutely be 100% good to go for week 1 versus the Lions to open up the NFL season, which is great news indeed. Pacheco was then asked about UDFA running back Deneric Prince, and he basically said that he is doing well so far. He's a hard worker and, quote, "That's what we do. We work hard," referring to the work ethic of the running back room. And you can see a little drill from Prince here as he indeed is working with the goal to make this 53-man roster in mind. And one sure way that he can do that, in my opinion, is to earn that nod as the team's kick returner, which you can see him here working on exactly that. Anyway, Pacheco also shared that Jerick McKinnon has been checking in daily with the running backs, which I found to be pretty cool. And a couple of defensive backs spoke to the media today, with one of them having a standout interception off a tipped pass during 7-on-7, and that was safety Mike Edwards, the ball hawk free agent signing formerly of the Buccaneers. His time in KC per his words, has been good so far, though he feels like a rookie again in some regard, with this being only the second team he's ever played for and now has to learn an entire new playbook and scheme. And he said he chose to sign with Kansas City because they were a nice fit. The coaching staff is excellent. They have a great defensive system. And then, of course, it helped that they just won a Super Bowl and are a good winning program. And he wants to be a part of it and contribute in his way. Quote, "You can see why they win all the time. They do it the right way and keep everyone held to a very high standard." And he shared that he's at camp early because he's been dealing with a little injury from OTAs, a hamstring tweak, and he's here to ease himself in and not overdo it. He knows his body and is here to get as ready as he can be before everyone else shows up and the speed of things gets even faster, because Andy Reid's camp is real and it's only going to ramp up even more, though Edwards did say that this type of camp is what everybody needs. He also doesn't care where the Chiefs put him in the secondary. Everybody is moving all around, and so wherever they want him, he's there. He's just learning the playbook as fast as he can to be as available as possible for the defensive coaching staff. And he shared that he's been gleaning a lot from Justin Reid, one of the vets in the room, and he then shifted to give some props to rookie defensive back Chamarri Conner, a guy who reminds him of himself when he was a rookie, that can fly all around the field and is really putting in the work. And Conner himself spoke today saying it felt good to be out here and getting into the swing of things, talking about camp. He's comfortable in moving all around the secondary, which is something he's done throughout his career, and he's ready to carry that versatility over to the NFL with the Chiefs. He's also here to apply himself and show that he can do whatever is thrown his way. OTAs were helpful and a good jumpstart for Chamarri, with the extra few days at camp right here, right now, before the vets come out, being very helpful as well. He's motivated to help the team continue to win and to get his own Super Bowl ring someday. You're going to get it. Mark my words. And then when he was asked if he was ready for the pads to come on so some contact can start being made, he immediately replied saying, quote, "It's football. That's what we do. We put the pads on and go hit guys. I'm definitely looking forward to it." And that's how you know. Most of these guys are absolutely insane, but the hits are what we live for in this violent sport, and you gotta love it. And then as far as some practice standouts go, Adam Teicher said it was a better day for Rashee Rice, who made a number of catches in 7-on-7 passing drills, and no puke this time, which was an overblown non-story from yesterday where people started to question Rashee's off-season work ethic and conditioning, but it was literally the first day of camp, so again, a non-story, but he stood out to a lot of people. Matt Derrick from Chiefs Digest, he echoed that the offensive star of the day was definitely Rashee Rice, who made a couple of outstanding catches using his size. One of those you can see right here. The Chiefs account shared it. It is a pass from Buechele to Rashee Rice, who uses his body to go up and get it. Remember, he's only like 6'1" off the top of my head, but he has like a 41 or 39-inch vertical. It's absolutely insane. Very good at contested catches, and that is definitely something we are going to be seeing more of as time goes on into the season. And then the Chiefs senior reporter Matt McMullen also complimented Rice, saying he had a busy practice with several grabs, a good day for him. And I am indeed excited about Rice this season, though I am for now going to taper my expectations of him, being there's only been like 5 rookies in Andy Reid's entire tenure as head coach that has had over 550 receiving yards their rookie year. He does have a good rapport built with Mahomes though, and is all healed up from that turf toe injury, and could very well find a valuable role early on in the Chiefs offense if that is what Mahomes, Andy Reid, and whoever else needs to decide these things wants. Anyway, with all that being said about today's practice, you guys got to let me know how you are feeling about things so far. Who was the standout today for you based on the reports? Rashee Rice, maybe Isaiah Pacheco, Deneric Prince, or the stupid bee flying around trying to get Mahomes? Let me know in the comments down below. And then we got to move on here because Warren Sharp shared this graphic today where he tallied up every team and the number of drives that ended in either a punt or a turnover in 2022. And the Chiefs had the least amount of punts and interceptions with 74. Out of every other team, they had the least, with the Bills close behind at 76. The next was the Lions at 82. Then the Eagles and Bengals had 84. And for the rest of the AFC West, the Raiders were at 90, the Chargers at 105, and Denver, good God, all the way down near the bottom at 125, with the only team having more turnovers and punts than the Broncos was the Houston Texans. So all this does is confirm something we knew already, and that is the teams with the most efficient offenses turn the ball over and punt less than others, therefore scoring more points and most times winning more games. So it makes sense to me to see 5 of the best teams in the league, Chiefs, Bills, Eagles, Bengals, 49ers, all up there, with the small outlier being the Lions. Much respect to them. They have a really good offense. Their defense, though, struggled, but they were up there in the top 5 and they did not even make the playoffs. I am excited, though. Week 1, Chiefs versus Lions. Please be a banger. Next up, Kevin Patra of NFL.com put out a great overview article of the Chiefs, which featured the players drafted as well as additions and subtractions from free agency. And just a quick overview here is a good reminder as far as the draft is concerned. The Chiefs drafted defensive end Felix Anudike-Uzomah in round 1, wide receiver Rashee Rice in round 2, offensive tackle Wanye Morris in round 3, defensive back Chamarri Conner in round 4, then in round 5, defensive end BJ Thompson, followed by defensive tackle Keandre Coburn in round 6, and finally defensive back Nick Jones in round 7. Then here's a list of most of their biggest offseason additions and departures. Not all inclusive, but it's pretty close. So let's look at them by position group. You had QB Chad Henne announcing his retirement after the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, and to take his place, the Chiefs signed former backup of Tom Brady, Blaine Gabbert. Juju Smith-Schuster signed with the Patriots, and McCole Hardman signed with the Jets. So the Chiefs brought in a sleeper in wide receiver Richie James, who was coming off a career year with the Giants. And then again, they drafted Rashee Rice in the second round with the hope of Sky Moore stepping up in year 2 and working in Rice in some capacity as well. The Chiefs then lost both starting tackles, left tackle Orlando Brown Jr. and right tackle Andrew Wiley. Orlando went to the Bengals, Wiley went to the Commanders to join EB, who is somebody also that they lost, and then Matt Nagy was promoted to OC in EB's stead. And then of course with the losses of those tackles, Jawan Taylor was the first player I believe they signed in free agency. It was for sure the biggest deal that they signed a player to in free agency. And then a day or two after the draft, they added left tackle Donovan Smith, the longtime veteran himself. And the Chiefs are also rolling without a fullback this year, with fullback Michael Burton signing with the Broncos, then running back Ronald Jones signing with the Cowboys. And the Chiefs signed UDFA running back Deneric Prince, and then of course re-signed Jerick McKinnon. Very glad they did that. Now for defense, the Chiefs signed defensive end Charles Omenihu pretty early on, letting Frank Clark walk in free agency, where he joined Michael Burton in Denver. You hate to see it. Carlos Dunlap is still a free agent, and hopefully someone that the Chiefs consider bringing back as a rotational depth piece. Defensive tackle Colin Saunders signed with the Saints, and to take his place, they drafted Keandre Coburn in round 6, though Keandre has some big shoes to fill certainly. Colin was a beast and could backflip. Then the Chiefs unexpectedly signed Drew Tranquill, a great coverage linebacker who will definitely help the Chiefs linebacker room this season. And with safety Juan Thornhill signing a long-term deal with the Browns, the Chiefs went ahead and brought in Mike Edwards, as we've talked about in more detail earlier in today's video. And finally, the author of this article suggests that due to the way the Chiefs' current roster looks, he wouldn't be surprised to see them add a veteran defensive end at some point during training camp, which is exactly what they did last year with Carlos Dunlap, and I would not mind if they did it again this year. However, Kevin throws out the idea that the Chiefs could make a trade for 28-year-old edge rusher Danielle Hunter. I mean, I would not mind that one bit, though I think the Vikings would be doing all they can to keep him on their roster. He's in the last year of his 5-year, $72 million deal that was signed back in 2018 and is due around $5.5 million in cash this season. And because of that, Hunter has held out of OTAs due to wanting a pay raise and hoping he gets one, and therefore the Vikings could either A, extend him to another long-term deal given he's only 28, B, giving him a pay raise for this year to keep him happy, which would provide a little more flexibility for them in the long term. Though again, I would think a longer-term deal would be the best for both sides. Or C, they could trade the man. And I would not mind if the Chiefs went to get this man. He's had over 10.5 sacks 3 of the last 4 seasons and is still a playmaker that would help Chris Jones, Charles Omenihu, Carl Loftus, FAU, and the rest of the D-line wreak absolute havoc. However, Sean Borman of Vikings territory said yesterday that his understanding is there has not been any serious trade talks regarding the Vikings trying to ship him off, but if it got to that point, it would not shock him whatsoever. Quote, if two sides can't come to a happy medium, they've been trying for many, many weeks, do the Vikings just say, Uncle mercy, we are going to trade him? But again, I would think the Vikings keep this man and the Chiefs sign a vet that is available in free agency instead to a 1-year deal like Carlos Dunlap. But let me know in the comments down below if you like the idea of a Danielle Hunter trade and him coming to Kansas City in the comments, or if you hate it. And either way, until next time, let's go. Let's freaking go. How about those?